Hello, everyone. This is Ramkumar Notat. I'm a senior solutions architect with AWS, focusing on analytics services. Today's discussion is about simplified data integration with AWS Glue. But before getting into the topic, let me ask you a question. If someone was stranded at sea, what do you think they would first want when they are finally rescued? Drinking water, right? Isn't that ironic? Even though they were surrounded by water, it was not consumable. And the situation is true for a lot of organizations. They have a lot of data, but it is not consumable. And that's where Glue can help in making that data consumable and democratize your data. Let's take a look at some of the challenges our customers are facing today. Data integration tools play a critical role to build modern data platforms. Some of the customers today use legacy tools and techniques, and broadly, there are three teams impacted in these enterprises. The first one is the IT leadership team. They feel that the tools are expensive and grow more expensive every year. These tools don't support multiple personas as they are focused either on visual editing or code based or using no code solutions. Now, we have realized that enterprise users need all three. These legacy tools lock in business transformations logic into proprietary code, inhibiting customers to migrate into innovative technologies. The next group is data engineers. They struggle with legacy tools. They wait for infrastructure to be made available or are part of installation, configuration, instead of focusing on business problems. They have to learn multiple tools, maybe one for stream processing, another one for batch processing, and maybe a third one for event processing, which makes it hard with context switching. Legacy tools work well with small data sets, but once the data volume grows, which is the case for every organization, these tools don't scale. Because of all the challenges data engineers face, business teams don't see the result fast enough. So they complain that IT teams are not agile and not meeting SLAs due to constraints on infra. And business team wants self-service. They want to be part of the ETL development or data prep activities so that they they have the flexibility. Now, how is Glue solving this problem? Let's take a look. Glue is a serverless data integration tool to handle complex workloads. Since it is serverless, there is no infrastructure to maintain. So that addresses one of the problems that we were discussing earlier. Now, it's an integration tool for every user, whether it's visual ETL development for data engineers or notebook style development for data scientists or a no code development for data analyst. It covers all of those personas and it's cost effective. Typically, it's 55% cheaper than other cloud data integration options. And with Glue auto scaling, it gets better at it. While it's simple to use Glue, it can actually handle complex workloads by connecting to various data sources and processing petabytes of data in either real time or batch or event driven modes. As in when you develop the code in Glue, you get the script and there is no lock-in because these scripts that are generated are open source code and you can port that over to any other platform if you would like to. Now, let's see the various components within Glue. The very first step of your data integration is to discover and connect all your data sources. For this, Glue offers a rich ecosystem of connectors. You can select connectors for your specific data sources, whether they are on-prem or in the cloud. For example, it could be your RDS databases or on-prem databases, or maybe some streaming data like Kafka or Kinesis that is coming in. And once you have your data, once you have connected to your data sources, you are ready to explore the data, right? At that point, you may need more information on the schema of your data sources. One of the most important activities during data integration is cataloging the data, which enables you to work with the data easily using various services. That is where Glue crawlers comes into picture. It helps in discovering the schema in an automated fashion and catalog them. Now, once you have connected to your source and cataloged the data, you are now ready to do various transformations and data prep using whichever tool of choice that your team is suitable with. Once you have the data transformed, next comes the consumption. Glue helps by directly loading data to various data stores, such as it could be your data lake on Amazon S3 or data warehouse on Amazon Redshift or other relational databases or JDBC sources, or it could be a search engine like OpenSearch. AWS Glue makes it easy to synchronize your data. Basically, it enables you to seamlessly move data across various data stores to enable data democratization. Today, we will get into some of the features, some of the key features of Glue. So we talked about the various workloads that it can handle, right? So the workloads can be stream processing. For example, if you have uh, data that is coming in Apache Kafka, or managed streaming for Apache Kafka, which is a managed service for Apache Kafka from AWS, or it could be Amazon Kinesis, where it's a native service for stream processing. In all of these cases, Glue can easily connect or tap onto the data and process that data using Glue streaming, so that you don't need to go into another tool for stream processing. Same is the case with batch. So you have batch files or databases that you want to connect and run batch processes. It can easily connect and work with that data using either Glue Studio or other interfaces that it provides. And for event processing, it can easily adapt to varied and changing schemas. So it covers the various types of workloads using that one single tool. Now let's look at some of the interfaces that it has, right? So Glue Studio, if you are a data engineer who prefers visual low code development where you can drag and drop the nodes into the canvas and connect them and then get the data prep done, that's where Glue Studio comes into picture. So here is the look and feel of Glue Studio on the left hand side. Whereas there are teams who prefer code based experience like a notebook, where they want to go and run a Spark SQL, or maybe they want to put in some Spark code and do some data preps interactively. That's where Glue Notebooks comes into picture. And the third persona is analyst, right? For example, you have analysts who prefer a no code experience. They want to do their data preps by themselves, but at the same time want to do a no code experience. That's where Glue DataBrew comes into picture. Glue DataBrew has more than 350 plus transformations, which you can just point and click and save those each and every activity that you are doing as a recipe, something called recipe, where you can publish and reuse on the full data set or any other data set that's similar to the one that you have worked with. So that's where data brew comes into picture. Now if you're using, let's say if you're using Glue Studio, there are so many functions or out of the box transformation that comes along with it. So here if you look at it, you have transforms such as like selecting fields, drop fields, deduplicate, join, union, filter, aggregate. There are so many different out of the box functions that comes with Glue Studio. Now, in some cases, that may not suffice. You may have a very specific logic that you want to put in, which is not supported or which is not available. That's where the flexible transforms comes into picture, where you have the ability to write a custom transform just for that piece, where you have a very specific logic and add on to the rest of the things that you have. Now, there are activities which is very difficult to uh, code or identify what steps need to be performed, like detecting PII, filling missing values, and detecting duplicates and things like that. For such activities, Glue provides machine learning based transformations, which you can out of the box use and take benefits out of it. Let's double click on the sensitive data detection a bit. See, business struggle to identify sensitive information in their data, like, for example, tax ID numbers or names and medical information, and so on and so forth. So, finding sensitive data in data lake is like finding a needle in an increasingly large haystack. First, your data volume is increasing. Next, sensitive data can be found anywhere. So, it's really hard. And that's why Glue DataBrew's sensitive data detection capability can help you with by identifying sensitive data while it is still in your data pipeline so that you can prevent that data from landing into your data lake. It can also pinpoint the locations of sensitive data that is already in your data lake so that either you can go and delete it or redact it or maybe limit the access to that data to trusted consumers. And it works at scale and is serverless. So sensitive data detection has never been easier and it's a lot more cost effective. Speaking about cost effectiveness, something that I want to really discuss is AWS Glue auto scaling capability. Let's start with the base case scenario, right? So you have a job that is running. So you have allocated n number of workers for that job, and it is running for a specific duration. The billing will stop immediately after the execution of the job. So you are only getting billed during the time of the execution and for the number of workers that you have selected. So that is one reason customers choose Glue because they don't need to spend money when their batch jobs are not running. And in most of the organizations, you have some specific batch window, and rest of the time, all that infrastructure is sitting idle. Now we are getting better at it. Now let's take a look at how this will work with auto scaling. Now with auto scaling, here in this scenario, I have three different operations. So the first one is a list operation where I don't need all the compute. So at that point, what Glue will do is it will scale down the compute. Once the list operation is done, the next one that I'm doing is a wide transform. So which probably need all the executors. So it will scale up. Further down the line, it's possible that due to uneven data distribution or some of the executors will be done processing and it gets idle. And at that point, Glue will again scale them down. So what that means is anything that you are seeing on that yellow color is a potential saving with auto scaling. So that's how Glue makes it a lot more cost effective. Now, we discussed about what are all the workloads it can handle, what are all the interfaces you can use to transform the data, and what transformations you can use, various custom transformations, machine learning transformations, and how you can run Glue job in an optimized way. Now, with all of these things done, the next activity is you have done with all your data preps. The next one is consuming that data or democratizing that data. That's where the data catalog plays a big role. So once you have your data added to the registered in the data catalog, that makes it easily available for the various tool sets that you have. For example, it could be a data warehouse query that is coming from Redshift, or it could be processing big data processing that you're doing is using EMR, or maybe a machine learning model that you're running using Amazon SageMaker. So regardless of the tool that you are using to process the data catalog makes it a lot easier to access that. And what that is essentially mean is all that metadata is centrally available for search and query will make your data democratized and make that data truly consumable. I I know that we have covered a few features, but not all of them. So I want to leave you with some reference materials here on documentation related to how to get started with Glue and a training on that, and some reference architectures from analytics standpoint. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you.